My name is Lexi Johnson, and I'm the curator at the One Archives at USC Libraries. On behalf of myself, Jean Vaccaro at the One Archives, as well as Stamatina Gregory and the Leslie Lohman Museum, it's my privilege to welcome you to the third in our series, Remote Intimacies.
Do it higher.
Remote Intimacies, as some of you may know, is a series we put together because we wanted to think about how we could sustain intimacy in these distant times, what opportunities there might be for communion across temporal and geographic distances. Thus, we put together this series to challenge us to curate in this way and to think with artists about how they were working in this mediated space and time. The title Remote Intimacies comes from Karen Tongson's theory on the powerful resonance of shared consumption and the capacity to bring people, things, and concepts together. And so we are excited to have our third event this evening. While the first, Brontes Purnell, brought us a performance and reading live from his bedroom to ours, and the second had Joseph Liatella sharing his beautiful film and engaging in communal discussion after. This third one tonight will bring you a performance and ring fight via Zoom like you've never seen before. You're in for a real treat as Candy Payne and her team push the boundaries of virtual performance, creating proximity all at a distance. They present Candy Payne Goes to Washington. After a tragic tag team match in the ring, Miss Payne retires from the mayhem of professional wrestling, only to find herself in the chaos and dirty fighting of Washington, D.C. Will Candy Payne crush the corrupt corporate careerist on the Senate floor, or will this bruiser end up a loser? You're about to find out. Just a few notes of housekeeping before we begin. In keeping with our desire for intimacy, we've created this event as a Zoom meeting. As you can see, we can see all of us here in this Zoom room. But for the best viewing experience, we're going to ask everyone to turn off your video for the performance. And then, if you can, click the three little dots beside your name and click Hide Non-Video Participants. And that way, you'll only see the performers during the performance. After the performance ends, you'll be able to turn your video back on. We'll have a conversation with the performers led by Stamatina Gregory. One other note is if you'd like closed captionings, you can click the little CC live transcript button at the bottom of your screen, and an AI robot will do the best job it can do to transcribe what's being said for the performance. And if you have any questions, please type them into the chat or save them for after for the discussion. Performers and those of us here would love to kind of chat with you about what you're about to see. So I'll give everyone a few moments to stop your video, and the co-host will also assist you in this process if you're having difficulty. And then I encourage you to change your view to hide non-video participants, and we'll get started in a few moments.
How do you do it? I know the video.
I mean, everyone at the station here is completely drunk out of their minds. Are we on the air yet? I mean, I'm going to have at least 3 or 4 martinis before we get started on this thing. Are we all right? Do we have candy paint even entering the building, everyone? And the senator? Ah, so I do have time for more drinks then. Fantastic. No, I'll just wait for the boss upstairs to call me. As soon as anyone's ready to go, you just give me the old holler. Yes. Woo-hoo! All right, finally, here we are. Thanks so much for waiting. Good evening. Good evening, butches, femmes, theys, and thems. Welcome to another rousing evening of KDYK's Sports Wide Mouth of Sports, where we will bear witness to the death match of the decade here in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., it's like Hollywood with ugly people. Yes, it's going to be a real bloodbath tonight, and some of you may be thinking, well, blood sports are only for boxing, martial arts, free bleeding, and golf. But I tell you what, here in the seat of our nation's capital, the flow of crimson is king. All right, now let's join the action down on the floor where we find Borden City's Senator in a little bit of a pickle. Senator?
That's right, Governor. The senator has died. And we need a replacement that's not gonna get in my way or in any trouble. I've got my eye on a little White House down on Pennsylvania Avenue, but my astrologer did say that I should expect some pain my way.
Well, it looks like there's been a death of a politician. There's an empty seat in the House. And who will fill that seat? I think we know who that is. The woman, the dyke you've all been waiting for tonight. None other than professional wrestling's feared and revered sapphic sweetheart, the hardest candy you'll ever suck, the one, the only Candy Pain. There she is. But why? Why, might you ask, is the governor giving Candy Pain, someone who has very little, if no political background, an honorary appointment? Could it be a distraction, a gimmick? Could Candy Pain just be a pawn in the game where DC takes all? Or does the governor know that what we need right now is an outsider, someone who hasn't been bought off, someone who has grit, determination, and is going to fight for each and every one of us? We'll have to wait and see. And there she goes. And now, to ensure that Candy won't get in the way with the senator's plans of the presidency, the senator meets with the secretary. There she is, the secretary, a smart, sassy switch who came to Washington years ago wanting to make a difference. Yet, like so many, after many years of disillusionment and seeing the crooked game being played out, the secretary seems ready to flush this cesspool like a day-old organic tampon.
Secretary, it's your job to keep Candy out of my way. And if you can do your job, I guarantee you a spot in my cabinet.
Sounds like a pretty offer. It'll be like taking candy from a baby.
Choo, 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 choo. Wow, she's arrived by train. Who does that?
Wow, DC! Whoever thought? Little me, Candy Pain, a senator. Well, welcome to DC, Miss Pain. Some are saying it was a mistake rather than a Miss Pain. You can bet I've heard that a time or two in the ring. And please, call me Candy. Well, Candy, welcome to DC. Let me set up some interviews with you. It's customary for new senators to talk with the press. Okay, but what should I say? I'm not too good at talking. Oh, just be yourself. I'm sure they'll love you. All right.
And there, with that action, the secretary alerts all the blogs. YouTubers, TikTokers, tweeters, 248chans, and the newspapers, whatever those are, while the senator is busy arranging exclusive meetings, all for a very small inconvenience fee.
Miss Payne, is it true you once took LSD before a match?
No, the one time an opponent did drug me with an LSD lollipop. But remember, kids, there's no hope with dope.
Are you gonna headlock any senators?
Though I will fight for what I think it is right, just like in the ring, I hope to use my brain muscles and not my arm muscles on the Senate floor.
Well, what do you hope to accomplish as senator, Miss Payne?
I hope to make the senator, and the people of Borden City proud. And I hope to give a voice and a fist to those who are not loud or strong enough.
Do you have any candy sweethearts here in DC yet?
I mean, I just moved here, but my secretary seems pretty nice. Thank you, that's all for today.
That fresh face, this is how it happens. They hail you, then they nail you. Not only did our sweetheart enter DC, as soon as she came, there came the yellow journalism. Says the Les, wrestler brings shenanigans to the Senate. Oh boy, and other headlines such as PAAN on LSD. But they so gay. How dare they? Such a nice dyke. And then lonely Les looking for love. Yet another slander. How much can she take? This does not look good for the protagonist of Pain. And those journalists twisted her words. And now Candy Payne's gonna have to twist a few arms.
Lies, all lies. You took everything I said out of context and made me look like a buffoon. Now you're gonna pay the piper of pain.
This candy's not so sweet.
Oh, trash, garbage, every day. The people of this country open their phones, read the papers, and what do they see?
Well, this morning they read that an incompetent clown arrived in Washington parading like a member of the Senate.
I'm no clown! Why don't you give the people the truth for once?
Well, if it's the truth you want, what are you doing in Senate? You're just a two-bit professional wrestler. You don't know about making laws or what the people need.
I don't pretend to know. But I will know, and I promise here and now that I will do my due diligence and learn the bills that I will vote on.
And just like that, having been read to filth, it's time to go back in her corner and regroup. Candy is now determined to learn all she can about the current bills that she will have to vote on.
Secretary, you have to help me. I need to know what bills I'm going to vote on.
What? You can't get through all these bills. Some are over 1,000 pages long. You're just a wrestler, Candy. What do you know about Washington?
I don't know, but you do. Why? You're the smartest person I've ever met in my whole life.
Well, that makes one person in Washington who sees me for more than just a paper-pushing secretary.
I promise, even if it's just me in your corner, I must be worth at least 3 of those spineless senators. And with your smarts and my stamina, we might actually have a chance at cleaning up this DC dump.
Washington's a lost cause, Candy!
You might be right. But if there's one thing I know, it's about lost causes. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's fighting and not giving up, even when every odd is against me. And I can tell when I look in your eyes that you're a fighter too. And I can't do this without you. I need you.
And what an emotional speech. After that, how can the secretary not be moved? Could it be that our redhead has rekindled the fire in the secretary's heart? Because it sure looks like that ice queen seems to be melting. And just like that, she starts to help Candy begin to review all of the bills. And now it's start to cut to everyone's favorite, the montage. It's a learning montage.
This bill comes from your senator, Candy.
Wow. But wait, she wants to build a dam at Borden Creek? That's the #1 cruising spot in Borden City. A dam would be sure to ruin that.
Candy, that's what these senators do. They propose unnecessary bills and the people end up having to pay. I bet this senator and her friends are going to make a pretty penny off this dam.
No, not my senator. Maybe other senators, but my senator cares about me. Heck, I voted for her 2 times.
Candy. No.
Well, I guess I'll just have to go talk to her because this must be a misunderstanding. Senator, I have to talk to you.
Oh, hello, Candy. How is DC treating you?
Fine, but I was reading the bills and I came across one that you're sponsoring.
Candy, I didn't even know you could read.
Ma'am, you are right. I don't got the most smarts, but there's one thing I do understand, and that's Borden Creek and what it means to my Sapphic sisters.
Candy, why are you spending so much time down at Borden Creek? You see, this was all brought up in legislation and passed.
I know, ma'am, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
Candy, darling, you are trying to understand a lot of things in a short time. This has been many years with a lot of experts who know what they're doing, unlike... Anyways, you're trying to veto a bill because of your ego, and you kind of don't know what you're doing.
That's not it, ma'am. I just am put here to do what's best for the people, and I can't vote yes on this bill in good conscience.
Well, looks like Candy is not going to crack so easily. And the senator realizes that too. She sees that Candy is not one to back down, and she will vote against the bill, her bill, the bill. That bill will make her friends millions and get her one step closer to that Oval Office. And it's now in jeopardy. What is the slippery senator going to do next?
I hate to do this to such a sweet kid, but she's left me no choice. Great politicians know that they have to crack at least 3 dozen eggs to get a really sloppy omelet. And it's all for the greater good. Once I'm president, I will do more for this country than any other president ever. But first, we have to cut Candy from the Senate before she can expose this like the rotten cavity that it is.
And so this is where we find our hero, her reputation crushed, her dreams of America and its greatness smashed. What's that? We've just received word that the senator has forged corruption charges against Candy and that she could be expelled from Congress as early as tomorrow morning. Now let's head over to Candy's office where she is overwrought with thought, sitting with her head in her hands. Oh, Candy.
Candy, the senator gave me this to give to you.
What does that devil biatch want to take from me now? Now that she's taken the only thing that ever mattered to me, my honor.
It's a letter of resignation, Candy. It's the only way you can get out of this thing.
I guess I finally am a quitter. A loser. I thought that I was strong, but I'm not strong enough for DC.
Candy, you aren't no loser. You can't let them win.
You're right.
It's time for another montage. Now the time has come for the main event, the session, the years, of strength, Candy Payne. Candy Payne will now challenge every single member of the Senate to a wrestling match. And here she goes. She is challenging every member of the Senate to a wrestling match. And here she comes. Oh, the first big beating happening. She's getting the crushing of a lifetime. Right in the hoo-hang. You gotta be kidding me. No way. She's up against the ropes. This can't be happening. But she's not giving up. It's hard to watch something like this, but you must admire Candy is taking such a beat. Without a doubt, this is the most punishing brawl I have ever seen. The front row of the Senate looks like it's gone down on everybody on their moon cycle. This fight should have been stopped rounds ago, but Candy Payne refuses to fall. She has beaten every member of the American Senate without fear, without mercy, like no other in the history of this country. She is just one competitor left in the Senate, the one who discredits and edits history, the Senator. That was me, boo.
Candy, you don't have to do this. You proved you ain't no quitter.
Now, it's about proving that lost causes aren't always lost. That we can't just roll over and let those with the power and the money win. That even if they've always won, we have to keep on fighting.
Candy!
Oh, and what's this? It seems as though the secretary is unwrapping one of her Candy Payne signature Candy Payne candy bars, now available for purchase from the Candy Payne official fan club on Instagram. Limited supply, so buy now. Looks like Miss Payne is getting some renewed energy. That fire in her eyes is not out yet. Candy Payne must know she is approaching the supreme moment in her life. Every fight, every workout has led to this moment. The Senator's time has come to get a taste of this candy.
With all due respect, Senator, because I'm not one to candy coat it, you're about to get crushed.
Oh, Candy, you think some small town little Les from the Middleville nowhere is gonna come in here and challenge, 500 years of world domination? You think the system's broken, but it works perfectly, sweetheart. And you know what? It's 'cause people like me are in charge, and people like you don't exist. You have never mattered, your friends have never mattered, your family has never mattered, your fans haven't mattered, and you will always lose.
Just because I'm gonna lose doesn't mean I'm not gonna fight.
Spoken like a true loser.
I want to see this combat!
I look forward to a fair fight, Senator.
My pleasure.
And here we go!
Get this pain of the boot! Your first real pain!
Yeah.
You're much taller standing, Senator. Now stop staying away!
Oh my God! Oh God! Expel me, not Candy. Born in jam is a damn fraud, and I failed the people who voted me in. I just want privilege and power. Expel me.
That's it, folks. It's all over. Count it all over. Tonight, we have had the rare privilege of witnessing witnessing the greatest exhibition of stamina and guts in the history of politics.
Get me out of Washington!
And that's it. Get her out of Washington. She's done her job. Well, sports fans, call it what you will, but this announcer calls this Candy the queen of sweet revenge.
Candy!
Candy!
Candy! Candy!
Candy pain! Candy pain!
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another night of KDYK's Wide Mouth of Sports. You've just watched part of the Remote Intimacies series, and the series would not have been possible without our sponsors, One Archives. Yes, there's only one of them. And the Leslie Lohman Museum of Art. Leslie Lohman. It's as queer as it fucking gets. And now let's introduce our cast of characters as a stage mom, Jason Black.
Woo!
As body double and sports student coordinator, Jay Fishel.
Woo!
As the secretary, Amanda Peters Gilmore.
Yeah!
As Senator Amy Von Harrington.
Woo!
I'm Lex Vaughn, known as Herm Havican.
Woo!
And now, the star of our show, the one, the only, also known as Candy Payne, Miss Candy Payne! Now this is what the business calls the Q and the A. I'm not sure who's organizing this. Let's see how everyone's going to be getting on their video. Candy Payne, how you feeling down there? Feeling all right? Jean Cordova, the Don King of Candy Payne's Wrestling Association.
Welcome from the void. Hello, everyone. Come back. If you want to put your videos on, that would be awesome. So we can all be in the room together. So hi, I'm Jean from the One Archives. That was amazing. Totally freaky, trippy. I'm glad I was with you for that. Thank you. And yeah, if people want to unmute and just like applause, that would be so nice for our performers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Candy.
I'm hoping there's going to be merch sold because this is a sort of a feisty crowd. Seems ready to buy some patches or lunch pails. So we are going to have a conversation with the artists, and if you have questions, we would love if you put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand and we'll call on you and we can have a love fest. And I wanted to introduce Samatina Gregory from the Leslie Lohman Museum, who's going to convo here with Mikki and cast.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being here. As I've said before in the series, it kind of gives us the opportunity to like start unpacking the performance right after it happens, which we typically don't do within the institution. Yeah, we'll ask a few questions. We'll have a little conversation, and then yeah, you can put your questions in the chat, or you can indicate that you want to be called on, and I'll call on you. So the first thing I want to ask is, for the people in the audience that are not familiar with Candy Payne as a character, what is the genesis of Candy Payne?
I've been doing Candy Payne for
I can't hear you, Mikki.
Oh. Is this better?
It's a little better.
I've been doing candy paint for almost 10 years now. And she's a professional wrestler. I started out making these kind of weird videos for Doom Maidens, and there's all different kinds of wrestling videos that they make, and Candy Pain was born there, and that's where I learned some of my first wrestling moves. And yeah, this character has really grown a lot with me and allowed me to take it a lot of places that I'm really happy to go.
I just learned about the Doom Maidens recently. There's a few former Doom Maidens in this room.
Who's here? Savannah, Nika, maybe?
This kind of throwback to the WWF, well, now it's called the WWE, so it's as if we would confuse it with, you know, endangered wildlife, was a really different phenomenon, right, in the 80s and early 90s. And this is the moment that you're channeling. And as a popular mode of performance that, like, you know, general publics were really enamored by, like, in a way now that seems kind of remarkable. This level of extraordinary camp that was masquerading as sport, right?
It is. So that's the time when I grew up most, was during the very flamboyant times of wrestling, and where it was just pretty much drag, so much glitter, big hair, all the fun costumes. And that really stuck with me, of seeing the first kind of really big outlandish queer live performance that was also accepted and really idolized too, the sportsmanship and the performance and the physicality of it. And I think it just really resonated with me.
Yeah, I remember you referring to it as Greek theater. Like a contemporary form of Greek theater.
Yeah, it's very simple. Like, it transcends a lot of, I think with just the body language, you don't even need any of the storyline. You can tell who's good, who's bad, what's going on, who you want to win.
Right, and you're brought into like this like predictable arc of narrative storytelling, right? First you have like the kind of like verbal beatdown. You have like the promises and the threats and the, you know, upkeeping or demolishing of titles. You have like the moment where it feels like all is lost. Then you have the dramatic comeback.
A tale as old as time.
And a tale also told in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Good transition. Yeah, I don't even know. I had never seen that film growing up, and I don't even know how it got imprinted on me. Maybe through The Simpsons, Lisa Goes to Washington is how I knew about it, but I just watched it recently before I had already had this idea for the performance. I was like, I'm doing Candy Paint Goes to Washington, but had never seen the movie, and it works.
And like, that was made in 1939, and which is kind of remarkable, like as a plot. I mean, it has every narrative trope that you can hope for in politics, right? There's this like humble, easily duped, but noble protagonist. There's a corrupt figure that can ultimately see the light and be redeemed. It's totally like an American Christian storyline. You have the power of the filibuster, which is like totally like a case of life imitating art. You have the power of letter writing from ordinary citizens, which also is like the biggest myth that we buy into.
And also the critique of media, definitely, and the grassroots. The Mr. Smith has like a grassroots organization, and they just keep getting beaten by the bigger political bosses and like shut down and water hosed. And it's like children getting water hosed. Seemed more relevant. I was shocked how relevant it felt.
It felt really relevant. Like if you think about at the time, like a bunch of senators tried to buy the rights to that film. So And the Senate Majority Leader at the time in 1939 said it made Congress look like a bunch of crooks. That's why he was offended by it. But now these are all like tropes that have been like rehearsed to death in the media since then, right? So like even in The Simpsons, like Mr. Lisa goes to Washington, which is like our touchstone of this happening. And like that's interesting because it like refuses to concede that there can be any justice through party politics, right? Which also feels really relevant.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just been such a wild year, and I think there's so many times where I felt just as an individual, like, what am I supposed to do? What can I do? What even like this changing this social media handle mean anything? Is that what I'm supposed to do? What's the right thing? What's the most, where is my power? And like, what can I do with it? And what should I do with it? And yeah, I think it's a feeling a lot of us have all the time. And especially now it's really come up.
Yeah, there's, you know, not exactly maybe a feeling of disillusionment, although that's also been a part of a lot of people's experience, I think. But it feels like that disillusionment is really part of the like arc of the character.
Yeah, and hopefully a disillusionment maybe with the structures of power, but not with us as individuals and us as an audience, and like having faith in each other, and that we do have a mass of people, and hopefully yeah, the disillusionment with the power and American democracy can feel empowering, like, oh, if that's the way it's supposed to work and it's working that way, instead of trying to reform it, let's crush it.
Frick yeah.
Yeah, it's like really, it's a question of like agency, like where that agency is located in the narrative, right? Like in this kind of like Mr. Smith, Mr. Lisa narrative, there's this idea, like what Lauren Berlant in this amazing and still relevant text that I love called The Queen of America Goes to Washington City, that she talks about something called what she terms as infantile citizenship. So it's a citizenship that comes out of this like, the infantile citizen has a kind of belief in has faith in the nation, right? Believes that ultimately the state is committed to the best interests of ordinary people, and then makes this trip to Washington and then sees corruption. And then there's this like internal like critique that's mounted, and that's the end of the critique, right? Because the agency is not there, and later it's like subsumed. So like ultimately like there's a renewed faith in these structures when they work, as you said, when things function the way they're supposed to.
Definitely. Yeah, and trying to have these things that are funny and easy to digest, but maybe when you sit with it a little longer, or it can kind of crack away at this system and institution, but in a way that doesn't, I want everyone to be on Candy Payne's side and to feel part of Candy Payne and part of her coalition, and we're all in this together and we're fighting this institution, rather than like, I'm part of this institution, or that's me and I believe in this.
You told me that you performed Candy Payne at your grandma's 80th birthday party. I would love for you to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, my grandma had 12 children and lives in rural Illinois. And for her 80th birthday, we kind of did like a big party, and I was like, I'm going to do Candy Payne. And it was a big hit. There was people like with Trump 2020 shirts on, and it was like at the Veteran Hall, and it felt really empowering for me to use this character and be able to connect with people who, when I was there days before, kind of, they were like, who's this wackadoo? Like, do you like country music? Kind of already putting me in this faraway box of there's no way we could have any kind of connection or respect for each other or appreciation even of mutual things. And after Candy Paint, a lot of people were very excited, and yeah, felt it's funny because Candy Paint is so big and loud, and you would think that could maybe be alienating, but it really brought a lot of the people in and the audience in, and was a great connection for me, and really made me respect this character a little bit more. And I always go back and forth of just thinking it's like this clown and what's the point? But that connection and being able to relate to an audience that I've never felt in other performances before is very powerful for me.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, I encourage everybody here to maybe put a question in the chat or raise your hand, because I see so many of your comrades and collaborators and fans in the room with us. And so maybe other people can chime in too. But I have a question about collaboration, because we're on Zoom and it's the end of time itself. And I'm literally wearing Mickey Mouse pajama pants right now, but I feel very swept away into this world. So I'm wondering if you can talk about collaborating with the performers and how you kind of connected over this particular platform that is our vortex, current vortex. Yeah, in terms of remote intimacies and all of that. And then people put your questions in.
Yeah, thanks so much for giving me this opportunity. I at first was like, I don't want to do Zoom. That's not my thing. I'm not a tech person. I'm not. The whole enjoyment of live performance for me is the interaction between the audience and myself, and kind of feeling out the nuances of what's going on and the energies. But honestly, when my screen was off and I saw everyone logging in, I was so excited and was like getting so happy to see a lot of friends and family and just people I know. And I feel overwhelmed with everyone taking the time to come watch my performance, and so thankful for the people here who are part of it. And yeah, it was really tricky to try and do Zoom wrestling, and I'm so lucky to have Amanda in my pod and already an amazing performer, and Jason Black also in my pod. So I only have like 3 other people who I have contact with without a mask. So then trying to see like how I can use them or who would be interested. And then yeah, that it was also fun because Lex, I'm not even sure, are you in California?
Not right now. It's just a go, but I'm still in Texas.
Which is
I'm a good person. I'm trying to honor the block, honor the health boycott.
Okay, thank you.
Save everybody, please.
Yeah, and so I feel so that was a fun thing of like I get to ask whoever I want, wherever they are in the world, to be part of this, and as long as the time zone thing works for them, I feel very lucky. And then trying to make connections and having Amy with the same background and Jay are together, so figuring like, okay, I can get 2 for the price of 1, and Jay can be my stunt double, and then Amy's there, and yeah, they did such a great job.
I have another question while people are formulating questions. I would love for you to talk about your signature 90s handmade aesthetic. There's like a really specific aesthetic of like both the like video and performance and screen and the props that, you know, is right at a particular moment in like early, like, you know, 90s and early aughts queer culture, like Paper Tiger TV and Wynn Greenwood. And, yeah, and I would love for you to kind of talk about the handmade.
Yeah, I guess my performance really started out when I was in like late 90s, early 2000s in a band, and we would make kind of all the props and sets and costumes for every show, and it was kind of like a musical every time. So I guess that's the only way I know how to do it, because that's the only way I have done it. And those, yeah, doing this really brought me back to that, which was such a fun place to go, especially during this time when we've spent so much time alone and trying to kind of reflecting on our lives and what we're doing and all that stuff. It felt like, oh yeah, this is what I do. I've been doing this since I was a teenager, of making these props of just like what's around the house, what do I have, what can I throw up, what works. And even the stuff with the dolls, and felt so like a throwback to where I learned to perform and how I learned to perform. And
Mikki, you were also saying yesterday, which was super sweet, about how you're like, oh my, after our first rehearsal, you're like, I felt like that was doing a living room performance for my parents, which I was like, oh my God, it is. And that got me so much more excited to do it. I was like, oh, this is shit hot. Like, we're all like, build a fort in the living room. Here's our play. And I really, that was super fun. And I'm still really, really happy about how the fight coordination went out. Like, with all the Zoom that's been going on, I haven't seen a screen to screen fight yet. So that went really, really well.
Yeah, it's been fun to have a new challenge too, of trying to work in this medium. And I think my mom is watching now, and definitely I grew up during Star Search. And so trying to figure out, when you don't have so much of the skills of Star Search in my living room, what I can do, what kind of show I can put on, and asking my mom to give me a score 1 to 10. And I don't know if she wants to say what she gives this performance. Yeah, any other questions?
Mikki's mom, do you have a?
I don't know if she knows how to unmute and that kind of thing.
I have a question, because I was, it's Laura. I was thinking about kind of public access cable the whole time. And what was her name? She was kind of wacky, and what the heck was her name? Anyway, it was like a New York thing. So maybe it doesn't matter, but Robin Bird. I don't know if anybody else remembers Robin Bird, but like, she was pretty amazing on public access, and she just like hung out with her friends, and they wore weird clothes and they did crazy things. And it was, I wondered if like, I mean, because to me, like public access TV, which, you know, is kind of moot at this point because we have the internet, so like anything, but it doesn't have that like centralized quality. So in a way, you know, being on this Zoom together, and I felt this way a little bit with some of our other Remote Intimacies programs, because you kind of get the self-selecting crew that comes out to kind of check it out. And anyway, I just wondered if you ever think about public access, or if that's like a piece of the imagination.
Definitely. I think I would watch it sometimes growing up, and getting like VHSs with just random videos on it, and John Waters, of course, when I was younger. And this was actually really fun because it was live in an audience, and I was like, oh, I have to do this live, because that's the fun part of like, who knows, like in the beginning when it was just like a little bit of tech difficulty and Amanda was just like sweeping for 5 minutes, I was like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Like, that was the exciting thing of like, how are we gonna make this work? Like, what's going on? And I was like, I actually don't have Lex's number. I was like, hopefully we'll figure it out. And so it's fun that we were all together. Yeah, because so much is edited now, and you just see perfection and flawlessness, and you see a green screen where it's like no wrinkles or creases or paint chipping off. I really wanted to do something that felt exciting to be here, that you're here now, I'm here now, maybe we're gonna mess up, maybe not, like just to have some stakes involved.
We have some questions about the writing process. Annie, do you want to unmute?
Hey, hey. So yeah, I wanted to know, like, did y'all collaborate on writing it, or was this like a sole Candy writing process? Tell me all about it.
Oh my gosh. First, I want to say I love Annie Bacteria so much. And she's a wrestler as well with Chokehold, which is a drag New Orleans wrestling crew that is amazing and mind-blowing. And so you should follow them on Instagram and follow Annie too on Instagram and OnlyFans, and an amazing artist who once had like a metal chastity belt in the ring and a saw grinder and like sparks everywhere, and it was mind-blowing. But yeah, I worked on this. I had a lot of help with a friend, Christine Zenny-Lou, who I want to give a shout out to. She's in France, so I think it's the middle of the night, so she'll probably watch this some other time. But we really went back and forth because I've never written a script before, and I kind of just took the script from Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and Rocky and then tried to pare it down as short as I could. And then Lex is such an amazing performer, and Amy and Amanda, where I was like, here's the idea, here are my words, but put them in your own words, and I trust you got it, and do your thing.
I loved it. And just, I mean, I saw in the chat, someone also asked about rehearsals, and the fact that y'all only went through this like twice is insane, because even with all of the like practical effects that you're doing of knocking the teeth out and like in the montages, it was just great. And it was such a fun Zoom show that I think really, like, yeah, it's almost like taking the piss out of this forum, which is riddled with tech issues, and we can kind of anticipate that it is going to be like not this super HD high quality thing, and like instead imbuing it with that like camp of humor that's like so inherent in your character. I think it was just so great. I had such a great night.
Love you, girl. Thank you.
I love you. Yeah.
I thought there were more questions, but there are a lot of comments, compliments, accolades.
Seems so the durational cleaning was a very big hit, very big hit.
Great.
We'll clean for.
You can hire Amanda for your fake cleaning needs. Honestly, seeing everyone's face just makes me so happy, and I love you all.
Wait, hold on. Do we have a question?
Oh.
A hand is raised. Do you want to? I'm going to unmute you. Oh,
yeah. Did you? So my question is, like, did you purposely create Candy Payne as like this working class hero? Like she's like what like Superman was created for, that he doesn't like exist as that anymore. Like Candy Payne is like the working, like the regular person, and like it's like why she's always like sympathetic. Did you like create her that way on purpose?
Hunter, I love you.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of grown more and more as I'm looking at like our political landscape. I guess I have always felt like an underdog in some ways. I'm very self-taught in wrestling and in my art practice, and haven't, in very much of a DIY culture. So I don't have a lot of, I don't know, institutional accolades or degrees. So I think, that just grows and grows more. And seeing, especially, living in LA, I think I've kind of noticed a lot more about class and been thinking a lot more of that, and seeing the kind of polarization. I've only actually lived on both in California and in New York, but I have a lot of family from Middle America, and making sure that I don't want to, and wrestling is such a blue collar sport, and I love that about it. And I think this is a cool way to try and bring these queer people and artists and working class people together to try and build a stronger coalition and repair some of the polarizations that's been happening.
Gavin has a question. Also, I'm happy to see that you got a 10 from Mom. Mom.
I think I'll probably get a different score when we talk later, but I appreciate it for show.
Yeah, I was just, hello from Australia. Like, this is wonderful to see this over Zoom. So thankful that you're doing the Zoom. I was just wondering if you're familiar with like Nick Zedd or Richard Cohn, because it sort of had an 80s New York sort of aesthetic to me, like in the handmade and the play acting aspect of it. If you're not familiar with them, maybe check them out, because I reckon you'd dig them.
Yeah, thank you, Gavin. I can't believe someone from Australia is watching. I'm not familiar, but I will definitely check it out. I think I always feel very thankful that my aesthetic is very 99-cent store, because that's what I have access to. And that's like, this is the best I can paint. Like, this took me a very long time.
Not that long.
And so, yeah, and I guess too, I'm kind of like, good enough is always my mentality.
Well, it was good enough. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Does anyone else have a question?
Check out my background.
Ooh.
All right, Candy Payne, looking good.
Taekwondo.
I'll say.
It was all children in my class.
Can we do a group chant for Candy Payne?
I'm not gonna say no.
Candy Payne.
Candy.
Candy Payne. Candy Payne.
Candy Payne.
Candy Payne.
Candy Payne. Candy Payne. Candy Payne.
Candy Payne.
I think we need one more rehearsal. No.
Queer failure, it's fine.
Queer failure.
Oh, thank you all for coming so much. This was such a really fun evening. And I want to thank all Mikki and all the performers and Leslie Lohman and everyone at the One Archives. And this has been a really fun series. And there's another half beginning in 2021 if we all make it. And they'll be with Lucchesa Brampton Verissimo, Zena Zerner, Amy Gogan, and others to be announced. So come back, and this will be recorded on the internet. And let's have a good night, and let's chant again as our goodbye.
Candy Payne.
Candy Payne. Candy Payne. Candy Payne. Candy Payne. Candy Payne.
Candy Payne.
Candy Payne. Candy Payne.
Candy Payne.
Candy Payne. Candy Payne.
Candy Payne. Candy Payne.
Woo!